Imagine you've just stepped through the doorway of what you thought was your dream, only to find that nightmare lurks in the shadows. Each choice, every heartbeat, draws you deeper into a web, but it's woven just for you. You thought you knew him. The man with the soulful eyes who seemed to look past the layers of masks you wore for the world. 2 years of video calls, whispered secrets shared under the cloak of night. You felt seen, understood. So when he asked you to join him in the quaint French village he called home, it seemed like destiny. But what if destiny had plans of its own? Darker ones. The journey from the bustling echoes of Charles de Gaulle was like stepping between worlds. The shifting landscapes were a reflection of your own anticipation and fear. An hour west of Paris, the roads narrowed into a tight embrace of trees, their branches scraping the sides of the car like bony fingers. You checked your phone, no bars. Time stuttered, the dashboard clock disagreeing with the device in your hand. It whispered a warning you were not ready to hear. When the trees parted, the village of Rapilly emerged as if materializing from a centuries-old dream. Stone buildings stood like guardians under the gray-green sky. They loomed, silent, waiting. Mark's house stood at the edge of the village, where civilization met forest, and the shadows seemed to breathe. Inside, it smelled of bread and lavender, but beneath lurked the scent of wet stone, a hint of something ancient and awake. The photographs were what first unsettled you, each a snapshot of Mark in various places, but always alone. The mountain scene drew you in with its serene beauty, yet the shadows told another story. Footprints in the snow that led only to him. None leading away. His silence as you talked was comforting at first, pulling words from you like a magnet. Yet each question he asked seemed to dig deeper, pulling at memories you'd buried. What was the exact sound of the boarding announcement? He'd probe, his eyes swallowing the room's light. And the kiss. Oh, the kiss. It was the promised fulfillment of late-night fantasies, full of passion, yet his touch was unnervingly cool, like stone catching the dawn's first chill. At night, the house creaked with the settling of old bones. Half waking in bed to the soft rhythm of his hand in your hair, you reached out for the comfort of his heartbeat, but found only the gentle hum of machinery, like a motor buried deep within the walls. You tried to rationalize it. Jet lag, the strangeness of a new bed, anything but the truth that squirmed at the edges of your mind. Must be my imagination, you whispered, trying to believe it, trying so hard. Days passed, a blur of half-formed thoughts and uneasy silences. You wandered the village, noting the odd stillness, the lack of laughter or life. At night, shadows seemed to stretch into the room, touching you, whispering. One morning, you woke to find his side of the bed empty. You stumbled to the window, peering out, and there he stood in the garden, motionless, his head twisted in a way that defied the human anatomy, turning slowly to lock eyes with you before disappearing into the night. Panic rose like bile in your throat. Mark, what were you doing outside? Your words stumbled over themselves as he reappeared with a soft smile, his hair tousled from the pillow, water beating on his skin. I was in the kitchen, he replied smoothly, the lie threading itself into your uncertainty, sowing seeds of doubt. You could hear the hum at night, the steady, low-frequency vibration that spoke of hidden mechanisms ticking away. It's nothing, you'd tell yourself. It's just the old pipes. But deep within, something screamed at you to run, to leave. Yet each time you planned your escape, his voice, soft and certain, would coax you back. Home, he'd whisper, you're home now. And with each repetition, the word lost its meaning. The village stretched and shifted, roads looping back into themselves. You wandered, searching for an escape, but every path brought you back, and the mist only thickened, clinging to your skin like clammy fingers. It became harder to distinguish reality from nightmare. One night, you woke to the weight of Mark's stare, unblinking, watching. Words poured from his lips, not in any language you knew, but in a static hum that filled the room with a presence as cold as the void. Mark, you shouted, the name tearing itself from your throat, hoarse with urgency. His pupils contracted, focus snapping back, smile stretching wide. Just a bad dream, he cooed, brushing your hair with that same mechanical precision. Heart pounding, you lay back, trying to ground yourself. Is this madness? You whispered into the dark, the shadows pressing in to listen, to understand. Daylight brought no relief. Every smile from the villagers felt rehearsed. Every gesture precise but hollow, as if guided by unseen strings. You felt their eyes on you, appraising, calculating, as if you were the outsider to their script. Your resolve broke in the final hours before dawn. You crept to the study, fingers trembling over the keyboard, driven by desperation. If you're reading this, I need you to know my name and where I am. Words poured out, each keystroke a cry for salvation. Mark. Something's not right, your mind screamed. But every attempt at conversation met with his knowing smile. one that spoke of secrets you weren't privy to. You paused, the silence of the early morning seeping into your bones, and listened for any sound that marked his approach. Was he listening even now? Watching. The Wi-Fi flickered, the connection a thread taut and fraying under the weight of your confession. Time was running thin, as fluid as your grasp on sanity. The house seemed to breathe around you, the walls whispering of things unseen. You knew you had to leave, had to break free before the final thread tied you to this place forever. Mark's footsteps echoed from below, a reminder that time was not on your side. I won't let it end like this, you thought, forcing your heart to still to a manageable rhythm. There was a world outside Rapoli, a world of noise and chaos, of freedom and life, and you had to find your way back to it. The roads might loop, and the mist might thicken, but your will, your need for escape, would guide you through. As dawn broke over the horizon, you slipped from the house's grasp, the chill of the morning air a sharp, welcome slap against your skin. The village lay muted under the rising sun, shadows retreating from the light. They would look for you, you knew. Mark and his hollow-eyed companions, with their practiced smiles and rehearsed lines. But you had a head start, a heart thrumming with purpose and fear. Keep moving, you told yourself. Keep moving. Keep breathing. With each step, the pull of the village weakened, a tether loosening as distance grew. Rapidly would become memory. Mark would become a cautionary tale whispered in the safe embrace of city lights. But you would remain, a thread unraveled, a survivor of the dark web spun by the unknown. If this story kept you up tonight, subscribe to The Dark Threads, new horror every day.